Hi everyone, how you doing? We are live Tuesday, 2:08 p.m. Mountain Time, August 2nd. You can tell I'm not in my studio today. I'm on vacation. I'm in Park City, Utah. I wanted to do this outside so you can see the beautiful scenery, but it is also rainy and noisy outside. There is some adjacent construction, and my kids are playing in the pool, and boy, they don't know how to be quiet. So here we are in my visually unremarkable hotel room. Hooray! Let's talk about Bitcoin, shall we? Bitcoin is at $23,004.78. It is basically sideways, a little bit of up, a little bit of down, but more or less where it started. It hasn't moved remarkably during the day, at least not in any one given direction, some up and down. On the week, we are up. On the month, we are up in what appears to be a pretty consistent zigzag up and down pattern that trends up. But, you switch time scales and things change. Down over the quarter, down over the year, quite obviously. So pick your time scale, zoom out. This is the only one that really matters, the all-time scale, because given enough time, Bitcoin goes up. Let's talk about the headlines, because there's an actually really interesting headline today. Would you believe it? Bitcoin maximalists are in the New York Times. An article not just mentioning them, but all about maximalism. How Bitcoin is not crypto. They are categorically different, not the same thing. I'm on archive.org. Thank you, archive.org. If you didn't know, they actually helped debut my documentary film, Life on Bitcoin, in the Bay Area back when it was released in 2015. The crypto market crashed. They're still buying Bitcoin. Hardcore Bitcoin evangelists are making the case that Bitcoin differs from the unstable crypto projects that sent the market into a tailspin. It centers largely around this man, Corey Clipston. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Corey. Corey is the founder of Swan Bitcoin, a place to buy and get Bitcoin that I have recommended many times in the past. In fact, I believe I have an affiliate link down in the comments, down in the description. The description, not the comments, right now, if you want to go take a look. This article is pretty good. I certainly take issue with a great many things at the New York Times. I do not always agree with them. I believe they're ideologically possessed in a lot of different ways. In fact, I saw another headline from, I believe, the New York Times that's just insane. An insane headline today. But not this one. This one's pretty good. I like this one. They don't get it all right. They talk about Bitcoin's energy usage, and that's poorly informed, but basically everybody in the mainstream media is very poorly informed on that topic. And they quoted some economist who said that it was not backed by anything and had no implicit value, as though anything has really implicit value. It's all relative value. This article also talks about Bitcoin Magazine. It links to another article. Talks about Jack Dorsey. It's pretty good. I do recommend this if you get a chance to go look at it. It links out to this article from Bitcoin Magazine. Bitcoin is down, but its case has never been more compelling. This article is about 2 weeks old. It's from July 15th. And this goes on and on about how compelling the case is for Bitcoin, how strong the narrative is, which is interesting because yesterday Joe Weisenthal of Bloomberg talked about how Bitcoin's narrative was, in his view, broken. Can you believe that? He says it is a broken narrative, that because it didn't hold up well against inflation, well, then Bitcoin's narrative is busted. He's saying that Ethereum's is much better now. He basically says that Ethereum's thesis is untested, while Bitcoin's is broken. To which I say, as I ever and always do say, zoom out. Zoom out. Has Bitcoin's thesis been broken? My goodness, guy. The case has never been stronger. There's also a distinction to be made here between inflation that comes about because of monetary printing and price increases that happen because of supply shortages. And when that happens, Bitcoin existing is not going to make supplies increase in supplies. There are price increases that just happen because there aren't enough of the things to go around. And supply chain disruptions have caused a huge problem there. This was my response to Joe. Joe, my guy, this is not going to age well. This will not age well. There were others who chimed in with more constructive feedback. You were following a false narrative, Joe. Here's a correct one. This from Corey Clipston, again, coming full circle. And he links to a podcast episode with Peter McCormick from What Bitcoin Did, where he's interviewing Stephen Lubka, whom I don't really know Stephen prior to this interview, but he's the managing director at Swan Private Client Services, so he works for Swan Bitcoin. And he's the one that points out that there is a distinction here between price increases and monetary inflation. And Bitcoin can protect against monetary inflation. It cannot do anything to help with supply chain disruption and price fluctuation as a function of that. So I do recommend this New York Times article. This is a great thing for Bitcoin in that it helps the maximalist ideas move more mainstream. But as I have been saying for many weeks at this point, months, the Bitcoin hardliner movement needs to be more open and welcoming. The people saying that we need to be more toxic, you're going to drive people away. They're going to see this, then they're going to come take a look, and they're going to see cult members. So please try to not look like a cult member. I'm begging you. It's not going to help anybody want to join the movement. Anyway, moving on. The number of states interested in adopting Bitcoin heavily outweigh the ones looking to ban it. I'm extremely bullish on state-by-state adoption, says Dennis Porter. This is true. People want Bitcoin to be adopted. They want it to be legalized. It is a popular movement. Any anti-Bitcoiners? Anti-Bitcoiners are centralizers. They're people who want the government to maintain control, and those people are dwindling in number. It is becoming more and more apparent day by day that governments are not good at this, that they can't do this. And you can come up with a variety of reasons why you disagree with government, but I think the number of people disagreeing with centralization is growing. So the number of states interested in adopting Bitcoin heavily outweigh those that want to ban it, because Bitcoin is a popular idea, it turns out. From Lark Davis, the crypto Lark, the number of wallet addresses holding at least one Bitcoin has jumped by about 40,000 since the crash started. A lot of people hitting their whole coin goal. This is great. We've also seen analysis showing that a lot of these are plebs. These are regular people. These are folks like you and me. They're not major institutions, though institutions are buying as well. So by and large, it just looks like adoption continues to spread even if the price is down. An interesting phenomenon that you would think if adoption were spreading, then price would go up. I believe it will eventually. From Wrecked Capital, in 2015, Bitcoin bottomed at 547 days before the halvening. In 2018, Bitcoin bottomed 517 days before the halvening. Discount March 2020 crash. So that was an anomaly. We're not going to use that as part of the trend. If Bitcoin is going to bottom 517 to 547 days before the upcoming April 2024 halvening, then the bottom will occur in Q4 of this year. I ran the numbers, split the difference between the 517 and 547. If it was exactly half of that time, then we would see the bottom happen on November 2nd of this year, which is interesting to think. There are plenty of indicators that we are at or near the bottom now, but I'm not fully convinced that that is the case, because as we have seen over the year of Bitcoin history, that it drops and then moves sideways and then drops and then moves sideways and drops and moves sideways. I know that now is not a bad time to buy. I wonder if there is a better time to buy in the not distant future. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I'm not a technical analyst. I'm not somebody who pretends to know the future. The most conservative thing to do, the thing I probably should do, is just be dollar cost averaging with what I have. I am dollar cost averaging. I am not dollar cost averaging with all of my dry powder. I do have some still set aside. Looking for a low entry point. We'll see if I can actually get it. It's a gamble. This from TechDev52, not an account I'm familiar with, but he says Bitcoin 1-year hodl wave 200-day rate of change peaks over 0.1, 4 signals in 11 years. Now, do you want me to break down what this means for you? Because I cannot. I don't know what this means. But what I can tell you is this. Technical analysis is the practice of finding patterns. And this person is saying, I found a pattern. Here's the pattern. When this number is high, when it's over 0.1, that means we are at or near a bottom, a local bottom. And it appears that we are at that place right now. So this is some information from Glassnode. This is analysis from an account that I'm not previously familiar with. So, take it with a grain of salt. But this analysis seems to be indicating that we are near a local bottom right now. And now would be a good time to buy. Luna had to sell 80,000 Bitcoin in 1 week, and the price dropped $10,000. Mt. Gox will potentially release their 180,000 Bitcoin in August. Cheap sats incoming, plebs. This, different from technical analysis, this is fundamental analysis. This is the story that we tell ourselves about Bitcoin, right? So this is looking at a story of things that they think are going to happen and predicting the price based on the story. All price prediction techniques are flawed. Technical analysis is flawed. Narrative fundamentals analysis is flawed. There are plenty of people rebutting on this, answering this, saying, no, you've got it wrong. I need to dig into the details, but this is a tantalizing possibility, because if a whole bunch of Bitcoin was dumped on the market, that could absolutely tank the price. Right? Things like this have just been happening a lot this year, and I think it would be premature to say that we are absolutely done with those. What we do know is that the network keeps chugging along unhindered, unchanged. And recently, 91% of the 21 million Bitcoin to ever be mined were minted. So there's only 9% left to be minted out from now till the year roughly 2140, at which point all of the Bitcoin will be in circulation. Fun fact, there's not, strictly speaking, exactly 21 million. I believe it is just shy of 21 million, just barely shy of that. So that strength, that consistency of the network, that it just keeps chugging along, TikTok next block, that's what the rest of this stuff rests on. It's a machine that can't be turned off. That's the power of Bitcoin. Also, just in, Bitcoin exchange River removes all fees for recurring purchases, which is awesome. I have not used River. I have used Strike. I'm a regular user of Swan, whom I've mentioned several times in this stream. I really like Swan. But I think I'm going to have to try River now. 0 fees for all recurring Bitcoin purchases. Those really are the only 3 exchanges that I, without hesitation, say, yeah, these are solid, these are good. Every other exchange has had recurring problems, or they are mired in the crypto world where they're just an altcoin casino. Coinbase is particularly guilty of this. Buy whatever garbage token you want to buy because we've got them all, even though we know many of them are garbage fully. Strike, Swan, and River, those 3, they are Bitcoin-only companies. So I don't hesitate to recommend those as good places to buy. They've got their eyes on the prize. From Tyler Winklevoss, Paul Krugman is the poster boy for failing upwards. He was wrong about the internet, wrong about Bitcoin, wrong about inflation, wrong about the recession, yet CNN continues to roll out the red carpet for him. What gives? You know, I said I had my issues with the New York Times earlier, even though they got this article mostly right. Krugman is a regular contributor to the New York Times. And I believe that's what you can get if you can be a voice piece for the existing power structures. If you spin a narrative that the existing power structures have it under control, that the things they're doing are right, and these subversive grassroots movements, those are actually really bad. Those are, in fact, evil. Yes, Paul Krugman called Bitcoin evil. Then you can get a cushy job writing opinion pieces at the New York Times. You can, it even turns out, get a Nobel Prize. Krugman is a joker. Nobel Prize aside, he's a joker. You would think that the Nobel Prize would be reserved for those who had really accomplished something amazing, but there are numerous examples of that just not being the case. I actually don't know that much about how he won his economics Nobel Prize, but I do know that his opinion pieces in the New York Times are often laughably and provably false given enough time. From Crypto River, a YouTuber with 80,000 followers, I'm definitely not jealous of that. Bitcoin has no top, fiat has no bottom. It's as simple as that, folks. Where is the lie? This is why somebody like Michael Saylor can confidently say that Bitcoin theoretically could go to 10 million. Why not? Bitcoin has no top. It is absolutely finite. We know exactly how much is going to be minted over time, exactly how much is in circulation right now. And fiat has no bottom. They can always print more. In fact, it's a virtual guarantee that they will. They always do. If you're betting against somebody caving to political pressure, you're going to lose that bet because people always cave to political pressure. And printing money, Printing money is the easy thing for governments to do. They always resort to it. From Bitcoin Archive, just in, falling exchange Bitcoin balances and rising stablecoin inflows is bullish, says Bank of America. Got kind of a conflicted relationship with these major conventional banks being bullish on Bitcoin. This was supposed to be an anti-bank movement, which I like. I'm into that. I like that stuff. But I also like when Bank of America says that, according to their analysis, the situation is bullish for Bitcoin. That's a positive thing. This from Robert Shiller, an article from the Financial Post. Robert Shiller, the economist, in 2014. He said, Bitcoin is an amazing example of a bubble. Nobel Prize-winning economist Robert Shiller says he's blown away by how much fascination Bitcoin has engendered because as a currency, it's a return to the dark ages, published January 24th, 2014. My goodness, guy. Again, another Nobel Prize winner. Bitcoin wasn't meant for you, Robert Shiller. I'm sure the existing fiat financial structure has served him very well. In fact, he's won accolades. He's probably earned a lot of money working within that system. It was not made for him. It probably wasn't made for people like me. I do just fine. I'm I'm a relatively well-to-do middle-class guy in America. I'm not unbanked, and that's who Bitcoin was built for. It was meant to sidestep these institutions that have been so irresponsible and poorly served people. Amazing that somebody like Shiller or somebody like Krugman can't see the utility, can't see the importance, or refuse to acknowledge it. From Documenting Bitcoin, at DocumentingBTC on Twitter, Bitcoin mining machines are just calculators. This is what Bitcoin mining looks like on paper. Yes, you can do the calculation on paper. Pretty wild to think about that, but it is perfectly doable. And now we have machines that do this at unfathomable speeds, and it is always, always getting harder because they're always in competition with each other for billions of dollars of newly minted Bitcoin printed on a rigid schedule. What a fascinating, fascinating system we have here. Nothing else quite like it. And Bitcoin fixes this. It literally does, as we've talked about many times on my live streams. Bitcoin is a net positive for the environment. Yes, it uses energy, but it does so in ways that are good for the environment and good for the grid. This is a piece from CNBC about there being millions of orphaned gas and oil wells leaking methane in the US, and plugging them will cost billions. But you know what they probably don't talk about? You know what you could do? You could just plop a Bitcoin mine right on top of that. You could burn the flare gas, the methane coming out there, and you could power a Bitcoin mine with those things. You could put them all over the place. And because it's just a computer in a box, you could put them anywhere. You could put them anywhere. So I'm bullish on companies that are doing this. I think this is a great thing to do, not just for the PR, which is awesome, right? We need more positive stuff like this piece in the New York Times. But also, this is just a reality. This is a good thing for the environment. To capture that, to mitigate those methane emissions, burn them off, and so they're less damaging, less harmful, less greenhouse carbon emissions, and to use them for something productive. An independent financial system, not subject to political pressures. All right, team, that's what I have today. How are you doing? Good? You hanging in there? I hope so. I'll be coming at you again live tomorrow and the next day while I continue my vacation. Let me know in the comments what hopes, fears, dreams, ambitions you would like to discuss in the future, and we'll hit it in a future stream. Thanks all.